Hi guys, welcome to today's video where I'll be talking about the logistics and the planning that need to go in when a family are deciding to move to Dubai. As a UK expat, myself and my partner and my two children, I have a teenage son and a 7-year-old son, we decided to move to Dubai last year. So in this video, I'm going to go through the different steps and the different things that we needed to take into consideration when we were moving to Dubai. So let's get right into it. Right now, by the way, I'm in Jumeirah and I'm walking down Kite Beach. It's a really famous beach. I actually haven't been here in the whole 16 months that we're here. So I just thought I'd take a walk down here and film the video. Right, so let's get into it. The first thing that you need to think about when you're planning to move to Dubai is what you're actually going to do with the property you're living in. Maybe you're renting, maybe you own it. We were owning ours, so we had two options. The first was either to sell it or the second was to rent it. Now we knew that this was going to be a permanent decision, so we actually sold our property. It was a massive decision, but I think it was the right decision at the end of the day. It was quite stressful and there were some time pressures involved. However, it all worked out for the best and we sold it just in time before the move. So that was the first thing. Some other people can't manage to sell it or they don't want to sell it because they don't know if they're going to actually like Dubai and settle here. Yes? We'll get an ice cream later. Mummy's just filming a YouTube video. Okay, we'll see about that. So in relation to renting it, that can also be an option. Oh God, this holder of this phone is so heavy, it's really hitting my arm. Anyway, let me continue on. So there's selling and there's renting your property. It's up to you what decision you want to make. Like I said, if you're thinking of moving here but you're not sure if it's going to be a permanent decision for you, if your family are going to like it, then you can just rent your property and that way you've got the option to go back if you need to. So the next thing that you need to think about as someone who's planning to move to Dubai is as business owners, which is what we were, we had to look at how to set up a business in Dubai. And when it comes to that, it's called business setup or company formation. And I think the best bet for anybody to go down is to look up a company to do all that for you. There's so much involved when it comes to like government buildings and establishment cards and Emirates ID, medicals and all those good things, that it's probably a great idea that you actually get a consultancy or a company to do it all for you. And just know that there are lots of companies here that do it, so try and get at least 2 or 3 quotes. We went onto the internet and we looked up 2 or 3 different quotes and the prices do vary, so just be very careful about that. But you are going to need a business setup company. So once you've set up your business, they'll set it up, they'll sort out all your visas. It first starts with an e-visa. You don't need to be in the country for this to happen. What are some of the timescales involved? The timescale involved for us was about 6 to 8 weeks. It wasn't really that long. I'm sure it could have been quicker. We got our e-visas, which is a soft visa, like an e-version, like an e-ticket. And then we could come over and then we needed to do our medicals and things like that. Once you do your medicals, you get your Emirates ID. Your Emirates ID is the actual card that gets you everything. My arm is absolutely killing. I'm gonna have to stop this for a second. Oh my gosh, my arm is absolutely killing, but I'm going to continue on. Let me plow through. Right, so then you get your Emirates ID and that good stuff. But one thing I want you to know and to remember is that when it comes to children coming over, especially those that are under 16, you need to remember that they come over on a tourist visa and their visa doesn't get cemented until you get your visas as the parents, and then you need to turn their tourist visa into their proper visa, which is going to require you to get their birth certificate attested. Please ensure that you get their birth certificate attested by a solicitor in the UK before you come. this was a massive pitfall that we didn't actually think about before we came. Bit of a nightmare when we had to urgently send it back to the UK via solicitor, via courier, and it cost us quite a bit of money, so don't make that mistake. So that's about the business setup and the formation. So what else was there to think about when we came over to Dubai? I've just made a list of things. So the third thing to think about logistically when you're coming over to Dubai with your family is accommodation. Like, think about what you're going to do. Maybe you're going to be buying, maybe you're going to be renting. And by the way, this is Kite Beach. There's just tons of stuff here to do. It's like loads of activities, lots of things like that. It's really pretty cool. And over here you've got like different things that everyone's doing. What's that? It's called pedal something. It's called Just Paddle. Okay, they're doing something called Just Paddle. Not sure what that is. But anyway, there's tons of activities here. It's really active, and I'm sure you can see that as I'm filming. Okay, so the third thing when it comes to accommodation. So what we decided to do as a family was we weren't sure where we were going to be living. So what we did is we hired an Airbnb. Now, I think that's the best way to go when you come to a new country. You don't know the area you want to live in. You don't know how close it's going to be to the place you're working. If you're working somewhere, if you have an office, the kids' school. So it's always a good idea to get an Airbnb. And that way, you can actually take some time to figure out what's going to be the best area for you. And that's what we did. We stayed in an Airbnb for about 3 weeks. I feel like it should have probably been a bit longer. Should have maybe done it for 6. Because we had to make a quick decision on where to live. And when we did, I don't think that the first place that we made the decision to live was the right decision. And that's why I'd probably say it's about 6 weeks that you should take for sure, minimally, to stay in an Airbnb so you can figure everything out. The next thing that I want to talk about is, oh, my arm is absolutely killing me. Give it a break, give it a break. This is definitely not the right phone holder for this job. Anyhow, the next thing you need to think about is getting your furniture over. So if you're moving over from the UK, you're most definitely gonna probably want to bring some minimal furniture over. I mean, we sold a ton of ours, but we did bring some stuff over, like our office desks, the chairs, the kids' toys, things like that. So we used a company, I believe it was called PSS, and they charged us, charge you per, in the weight that you're basically transporting over. It comes over on a ship, and I believe it took about, so be ready for it, about 7 to 8 weeks for your stuff to come over. So do bear that in mind when you're looking for temporary accommodation, because obviously you'll be without your stuff for a while. So when we got our Airbnb accommodation, I think it cost us, it was a 2-bedroom apartment. It was in Jumeirah, which is like staying in a really good area in London. And I think for 3 weeks, it was about £3,000. So it wasn't cheap, and it was only a 2-bedroom. It was a massive 2-bedroom, but it was a 2-bedroom apartment. And that's in Jumeirah. So that's just to give you an idea of how much that would be. So that was that part of it. What's next after accommodation, furniture and shipping? 6 to 8 weeks, we've mentioned that. So when you're obviously getting the Airbnb, obviously you're going to get one that's furnished because they come furnished. Or if you're looking to rent, then you've got to think about if your furniture comes over, if it's furnished, you're going to need it to be unfurnished for your furniture to fit in. Otherwise it's going to be very cramped. Yes?
I made my decision.
What's that?
Cotton candy.
Awesome. You want cotton candy? We'll get you some shortly. Let's go and find some.
Well, it was right back to the corner over there, back there.
Oh, was it? We'll walk there and go and get it. So I've just changed the angle which I'm holding this phone holder. Oh my God, it's so much better. Right, next thing I want to talk about is bringing your pet over. So bringing your pet over to the UAE is no easy feat. It's quite a process. So just know that that's involved whether you're bringing your cat or your dog over. There's things that you need to do from the UK side and the UAE side. So to give you an idea, we have a cat, and in order to bring her over, first of all, they need to be microchipped. They need to have had their vaccines. It needs to be up to date. They need to have their rabies injection. They need to have a health certificate as well. You're also going to need to contact the Ministry of Climate Change in the UAE to check what their requirements are for your pet and make sure you adhere to that. Then you're going to need to get all that good stuff done. Obviously book their flight, get them a proper container to come over in. So just know that that process there can take a good 6 to 8 weeks also. So bear that in mind if you're thinking about bringing your pet. And also think about, if you're coming over to the UAE, Dubai or Abu Dhabi or wherever, are you planning on actually staying here? Or are you planning on going away for the summers? Or are you planning on traveling to other countries after a year or two of being here? Because you need to think about the long-term plans for your pet. I mean, we can't take our pet from country to country. So what you're going to need to do is leave them with somebody looking after your pet, right? And how feasible is that going to be if you don't really know a lot of people within Dubai? You're new to the country yourself. So do think about that and bear it in mind, and think about the best available option for your pet, because bringing them to Dubai might not be the best idea. Also get to know how they work in the heat. Obviously there's like pet parks here, there's dog parks which are amazing. In the summer months it's boiling, so the walks are generally really early in the morning for the pets, and it's quite uncomfortable for some pets in the heat. So just know that and bear that in mind when it comes to thinking about bringing your pet over. What else is there? What else is there? Okay, so there's last two things that I want to basically, and there's tons of vets and things here, and grooming companies, which is amazing. The last two things that I wanted to talk about was teenagers. So my teenager, he's 19. He didn't actually complete his driving in the UK. If he had, it would have been super easy. He would have been able to come over here and just convert his license by getting an eye test and going to the RTA, which is the driving test center. They would have converted the license. It would have cost about 200 quid. But he actually started taking his lessons here. And all in all, I think it cost something in excess of like 3,000, 2,000. Yeah, about 2,000, sorry, about £2,000, and it takes about 2.5 months. It's actually a really quick process, and the process is they first do an eye test, then they do the theory test. Once you pass the theory, you have to have something like 12 lessons. Then they give you a practical test. And the really good thing about Dubai is they break it down in sections. So you do your driving first, then you do a practical test of driving, then you basically do the parking, then you do a parking test, then you do a few others. So it's broken down into nice segments, so it's not all at once. So I think in a way it's quite nice. So that's to do with teenagers in Dubai. And then there's two more things that I wanted to talk about. This is it. Logistics of moving to Dubai as a family, food shopping. Now, where do I start? In Dubai, you've got 3 main supermarkets. So in the UK, you've obviously got Lidl, you've got your Tesco, you've got your Waitrose. In Dubai, you have Lulu Hypermarket, which is like your Lidl. You've got Carrefour, which is like your Tesco. And then you've got Spiney's, which is like your Waitrose. So when you're thinking of coming to Dubai, the prices are pretty much the same. So dependent upon how you're shopping in the UK, you do have the equivalents in Dubai. Obviously, food that's imported, like PG Tips and Tetley Tea and Frank's Red Hot and all that good stuff, that can actually be really quite expensive in the supermarkets because it's actually imported. So that's something to note. So the stuff that's imported, like Walkers and all that stuff, is a bit more expensive here. But then there is obviously local stuff which is still amazing quality, and it's up to you obviously to optimize your shopping bill. in order to make it as cost effective for your family as possible. In my opinion, I'd say that the actual cost of the shopping bill is probably similar to what it was in the UK, and if anything, the actual quality of the food, well, is a lot I'd say fresher here. They get food from all over the world, get like New Zealand papayas and Pakistani mangoes and mangoes from different countries, and the fruit is so exotic and lovely because it's all coming from all different countries. The meat quality here is amazing. I really can't fault it. You've got all sorts of people here, people on skates, just like everything, all sorts of stuff going on here. I'm just going to show you a bit of Expat Beach. And last but not least, I wanted to end it on clothes, right? So obviously the clothes shop for the family when you come here. So in the UK, I used to shop at H&M and Primark, you know, as you do. And that was really cost effective. Obviously the UAE and Dubai does have the equivalent. So they have something called Splash, Max Fashion, and there's loads of cost-effective stores that you can go to. I did find that H&M here was a little bit more expensive than the UK H&M. So obviously if friends and family are coming over, then you can get those guys to bring over your clothes. But there is, you know, like I say, the equivalent over here of Primark and Primark. So that works out quite well when it comes to family clothes shopping. And I think that's pretty much it. So I just wanted to share that with you. I've been in Dubai for a year now with my family. It was an amazing decision. There's so much that had to go into it, and there's so much more that I haven't been able to cover in this video. So I hope that was helpful. If you found it helpful, give me a like. Please subscribe to the channel. I'll be sharing so many more videos, and give me some comments in relation to some topics you'd like to see. I mean, there's so much more I could discuss. Areas to live in, rental costs, all that sort of good stuff, which I can definitely cover. But send me some comments below, and I would love to give you some videos on those particular topics. So until then, I'm off to enjoy Kite Beach, and I shall see you again next time.